Blessings and peace to you. This is SB Favor Thinking Podcast, and my name is SB Favor. How are you doing today? It is Thursday, August 11, 2022. Another wonderful day and another day to be thankful. And as I always say, if you focus on what is good, then you can project something good to happen. You don't want to sit around focusing on the things that don't benefit you. So that's why I always say that. So focus on what is good. If you are out there traveling about, make sure you're wearing your mask when you need to. Make sure you are protecting yourself. It's a lot going on in our society, and we have to protect ourselves from COVID. We have to protect ourselves from monkeypox and whatever else is going on out there. Just make sure that you protect yourself and protect your family members. Do your part to stay safe. Wear your mask, use your hand sanitizer, and just be wise and take care of your body. Take your vitamin supplements, eat well. Do all that you know to take care of yourself. I always remind you of this because I care. So do your part. If you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $SB Favor. I thank you so much for your donations. Well, my co-host for this episode is Jaki Draper, and we are going to discuss what is unconditional love. Why do people have different interpretations of what love is? What are the pros and cons of understanding what love is? So we are going to talk about that, and I hope that this episode will give you some insight and some motivation to do something better. Before we start this episode, I also would like to take this moment to acknowledge my mother and dedicate this episode to my mother, Laverne Edwards. She passed away on September 7th, 2021. Today is her birthday, and this is the first year my mother is not here on her birthday. She is here in spirit, and I must not forget that. She is not physically here, but her presence is reflecting through my siblings and myself and my nieces and nephews. And so I am so thankful for my mother. She is and was a woman of strength, kindness, virtue. She sacrificed so much for me and my siblings, and I just want to say happy birthday, Mom. I love you, and I miss you, and I want to dedicate this episode to you. The topic of this episode is perfect to discuss on this day, my mother's birthday, because my mother was and is a woman that was full of love. She loved everybody. She set the bar and she showed others how to love. And she constantly reminded me and my siblings the power of love and what love can do when you just simply love people for who they are. That is. How you doing, Jaki?
Hello, I'm doing well. I'm a little tired today, but I am doing well.
Well,
it's really well.
Well, it's Thursday, right? So we're almost at the end of the week, right?
Absolutely. Actually, today around 3 o'clock, I said, "Oh, it's not Friday. What?"
Yeah.
It's only Thursday.
It's only Thursday, and we are here, and we are going to talk about unconditional love, the pros and cons of love, the types of love. And I wanted to talk about this topic because I was just thinking about it. And of course, today is my mother's birthday. I mentioned that earlier. And my mother was a person that exemplified what love is according to how she treated people. My mom, she ministered love to all kinds of people. I mean, that's the example she set, was to love people. And so, but love is something that we all want, right, Jaki? And
absolutely.
Unfortunately, some people know what love is and some people don't. Some people understand love to be one thing and the next person understands love to be something else. And of course, we all know the love of God is the love of God. That's the the perfect love. But let's get into it, Jackie. So when you think about the word love, Jackie, other than romantic relationships, what comes to your mind when you think about the word love?
Well, God, of course. But I think of love as a state of being in your connection to anything natural. People, animals, sunshine.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of a spiritual thing.
It truly is, because I believe that we were created for love. I think that love is the first principle of life, of humanity, the principle of God. I believe that, there are 4 different types of love, but I believe that we were created to love God, and when we understand that, then we can love correctly. Because people have different interpretations of love. I mean, have you ever had a strange interpretation of love, Jackie?
I don't think so. I think I'm pretty in touch with my love. I love freely to the people and in my life.
Right.
I think I have a good relationship with love in general.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think I have a healthy relationship with love and what love is, the interpretation of it. I think when I was younger, much younger, I had a weird interpretation of love. I think, people love for the wrong reasons, right? So that's what I mean by weird. I didn't understand. I was so young. So, but, we all have our interpretations based upon how we were raised. We have our different interpretations of love based upon our culture. There's so many reasons why. But there are 4 types of love, and I'm going to get into that, but not just yet. Is there anything you want to share, personal, Jackie, about a time in your life when you thought you were in love versus love? Because that's another thing. Some people don't know what in love is versus what love. Just loving somebody versus in love.
Oh, well, I wasn't prepared for talking about that. Let's see. I definitely... I mean, I've been in love with someone and then found out they weren't in love with me.
Oh, wow.
So, that's a difficult situation to deal with in love.
Yeah. Well, what would you say? What is the difference? How can you describe what in love is versus just loving somebody? Because a lot of people get that mixed up.
Well, I think it's it's more the unconditional, like we were talking about conditional and unconditional love.
Yes.
I feel that when you are in love with someone, it is an unconditional love.
I believe that too. Romantically,
Right. And there's romantic connections associated with it. Obviously, you can be you can have unconditional love and have no romantic connection. But
right.
I think it's accumulation of many things, but the source of the love is an unconditional love, which is why so many people are in love with people that are maybe not the best for them.
Right.
Maybe they, they're abusive relationships, or, maybe not quite so bad as abusive, but maybe the person would prosper better with a different type of person, but they're in love with this individual, so they choose them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we've ever talked about this before. There's a lady that I follow. The people, they wrote, like, Secret, the Esther, the Abraham Hicks people. Do you know who they are?
Yeah.
They, she says that the difference between conditional love and unconditional love. She says, conditional love is material. It is looking for conditions that make me feel good and not happy otherwise.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Yes, I love you, but only if you behave in this manner.
Right.
That's conditional love.
That's conditional love.
Where unconditional love is immaterial, and immaterial in the word as spiritual.
Right.
Spiritual is immaterial.
Exactly.
You are you're loving in a place of alignment where you feel peaceful.
Yes.
And so this is an unconditional love, is where you are allowing the other person to be who they are and still loving them. And it has and you're also accepting the fact that it has nothing to do with you yourself, their behavior. They're two different things. The person's behavior and your love they're not connected.
Exactly. Unconditional love is the love that you have for somebody, covering and tolerating their human faults. That's unconditional love. And that love is described as agape love. Unconditional love, which is the love of God. That's the love that God gives us to cover people despite their human faults. When you are in love with someone romantically, you accept them for who they are, of course, according to your standards, and you tend to stay in a relationship or stay with that person despite their faults because you are in love, which again is agape love, unconditional love, which is the love of God. Because there are 4 types of love. The one I just mentioned, which is the love of God, agape love. Eros love is romantic love between 2 people. That's Eros love, which goes into erotica, that kind of stuff. And then phileo.
Now, can I ask you a question? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. There was another one.
Yeah, let me just go through this real quick.
Yes.
And phileo love is friendship, the love between 2 friends. The last one is storge, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is the affection, love between family members. Storge, I think I'm pronouncing it. It's right one way or another. So there are 4 different types of love, and all those levels are in those categories according to what I mentioned, which is the love of God, the romance between 2 people, friendship, and affection of love between family members. 4 different types of love. But what were you going to say, Jackie?
The romantic one. Now, some people, I'm certain of it, well, because some people will say that they are in love with you, but it is conditional. Does that mean they weren't really in love with you?
I think that people say they're in love with the next person based upon their interpretation of love. And that's why I said what I said earlier. Everybody has a different interpretation, because a person cannot say that they are in love with somebody and they are abusing them. A person cannot say that they are in love with someone and they are just cheating. They cannot say that they are in love with someone and they don't stay committed to the vow that they gave. You cannot, that's just my opinion, but that's real. Why? Because when you have the agape love, which is the unconditional love, that type of love keeps you rooted and grounded in that relationship. And so when a person has the interpretation of being in love and they are toxic, to me, that's not love. I mean, how can you abuse something you say you love? How can you say that you adore something and you abuse it at the same time? It doesn't match. Oil and water does not match. So, I mean, come on. When we are honest with ourselves, then we can really see the painting on the wall. And I think that a lot of people have different interpretations of love. And because of how they were raised, the norms and, in their culture, there's so many different factors to that. They have different interpretations of love. But when you really look at the foundational love, which is agape love, the unconditional love of God, that type of love, it loves all people for no reason. you know? And I think that most of us that are raised, or most of us that learn how to love in a healthy way, we understand agape love. We understand that, the person at the red light could be cursing us out, but we can look at that person with the love of God. That's agape love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, sometimes it's a lot easier when that person's in a different car and you're about to drive away from them.
Yeah, it is. It is. It really is. And also that agape love goes into when somebody does something wrong to you, you can still love them. You may not be as close to them, the way you used to be, but you can still extend love to them. I mean, I'm sure all of us have a family member that has done wrong to us, but we still love them with agape love, right? But we don't have that connection to them like we used to, but you still love them. You see the difference? That's unconditional love. But a lot of people in society, sadly, they have the conditional love. They want the man to have the body, the woman to have the body, the money, all those things are based upon condition, which to me, that is just, that's eros. That's a feeling. That's sometimes lust, right?
Yeah, infatuation.
And
you're not loving the person for who they truly are. You're loving the idea of who you made up in your brain that they are.
Exactly, the idea.
And then,
Because when you truly love someone with foundational agape love, the love of God, what happens is when that person does wrong, when that person is actually getting on the last nerve you have, you find a way to smile. You find a way to overlook it because you love them, right? We all have somebody that get on our nerves in our life, or have.
Yeah. Yes.
But you find a way to love them despite them getting on your nerve. I mean, I'm going to keep it real right now. I have people in my life. I love them dearly. Oh, I love them. But sometimes they just get on my nerve. But guess what? If I'm having one of those days and they're getting on my nerve, guess what? I'm gonna kick into the agape love, because they might get on my nerve, but it's not that important at the time. Whatever they're doing to get on my nerve, it's not that important, so I have to overlook it. And of course, I may examine myself too, because I'm saying to myself, you know what? I need to be a little bit more patient. How about that? So it may not be them all the time, it might be me. So, but anyway. Agape love is foundational. And, like you said, Jackie, those conditions, we live in a society where a lot of people are loving people based upon condition, because if you don't look a certain way or have certain things, or if you don't do certain things, you ain't getting no agape love, right?
Right. I saw a meme. I've seen a meme before, and it says, a lot of people are looking for unconditional love with a whole lot of conditions.
And you know what? It's sad too, because I think that everybody has certain types of flaws, all of us, right? And if you really truly want to experience love according to what you were created for, which is love, if you really want to experience that, then we have to love people unconditionally. We have to accept people for who they are. We have to look at love through a better and more healthy lens, because if we don't, then we miss the opportunity to experience love for what it really is. You want to experience love for what it really is, whether it be your family, your friends, your neighbors, your romantic relationships. You want to experience love for what it really is, because love represents healing. It represents healing. And unconditional love is also, I want to mention, Jackie, is selfless, is sacrificial, and it's the highest form of God's love, agape love, unconditional love. So it's a beautiful thing when you tap into loving someone unconditionally, and then you start to experience healing in your life based upon something you experienced years ago, something that needs to be corrected in your life, something that needs to be made better. If you love someone, or if you tap into being willing to love someone unconditionally, what happens is healing avails itself to you because of that unconditional love. What do you think about that, Jackie? You think that's true?
Well, yes, But I believe that a lot of people are incapable of unconditional love for the mere fact that they do not love themselves unconditionally.
Yeah.
They are very hard on themselves, or they beat themselves up about their faults and shortcomings and think that they are unworthy, or, people who, tell themselves I'm stupid, or I'm this, that, or the other, whatever, negative traits. If you're constantly telling yourself that, then if you're judging yourself on that level, it all begins with self.
Yes.
If you cannot love yourself, you cannot love someone else. I'm a person that I definitely know my flaws. But I also, for a long time now, accept myself regardless of them, because I do know that my flaws are things that I work on.
Exactly.
I am not a person who's going to say, oh, well, that's just me. That's who I am. Take it or leave it.
Right.
I would never do that. I would never feel that way. So I am capable of loving myself, because I know I always want to be the best version of myself. And if I recognize my shortcomings, I'm going to do the work. Unfortunately, shortcomings can't change immediately.
Right.
But I'm always trying to do the work on myself.
And that's awesome, because we all should accept ourselves for who we are. Because when we accept ourselves, what happens in that moment is God will impart something into you, because you are loving the imperfected part of you. The part that's not perfect. You are loving that part of you. So accept yourself. First of all, I would say to someone that is having a hard time loving themselves to love others, first and foremost, accept yourself and accept who you are, good, bad, or indifferent. Pimple on the face or no pimple on the face. Accept who you are. And when you do that, then you will start to see the better part of yourself and not the weaker part of yourself. Because a lot of us have gifts, talents, and abilities that are awesome. All of us. So look at that part of yourself. Look at the things about yourself that you do well. Don't look at the flaws, but look at the things that you do well. And accept that part about yourself. Accept your flaws too. But what I'm saying is, accept yourself, to love yourself. And then, of course, like I was saying last week, Jackie, I think that when you love God first, you love yourself, then you can love others, because that's the order of love. I think that in this hour that we live in, we all have to learn how to love ourselves more, because when you love yourself more, it is not selfish. It is a practice to be able to be in a position to love others when you love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, how can you love somebody else? I think it would be impossible to love somebody else if you don't love yourself. What do you think about that, Jackie?
100%. I also think, I think it was Eckhart Tolle. I've listened to so many things and read so many books, they all run together.
Right.
But Eckhart Tolle, I believe, explained your self, your soul, yourself, your relationship with God.
Yes.
Is you are God. You are, and not in the sense that a blasphemy sense, but in the sense that his comparison was that God is the ocean, and when it came time to make your soul, it took a little cup, scooped out a cup of water from the ocean, poured it into this body, and now that's you, and that's your soul.
Yes.
So your soul came from God. It's part of God.
That's right.
You are part of God. There's nothing about you that isn't part of God. Just like your physical body is parts of both of your parents.
Amen.
You cannot, doesn't matter what you do, you can go to court and a emancipate yourself all you want, but you are part of your parents.
Yes.
You know, your
That's
DNA
right.
is there.
That's
the
right.
DNA of your soul is God.
Amen. I love that. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for saying that, Jackie. Ooh, I love that. Yes. Oh, Lord, you just touched something in me. Yes, absolutely. Every part of
And
us.
how can you hate yourself?
Yes.
Because you are God.
That's
you
right.
love God. God loves you. You can't hate yourself. You can't.
That's right.
You have to love yourself.
That's right. Because we were created to love. We were created to love. I mean, if you look at everything in life, it's considered vanity if you leave out love. Because everything begins and ends with love. We were created to love. And if we love ourselves, if we love God and we love ourselves, then we will have the capacity to love others even more. You know, one of the greatest things that I have learned in my life as a young woman many years ago is that when I developed a relationship with God just by praying from day to day, I learned to love Him because His Spirit, and just looking at nature and looking at all the beautiful things in life, I fell in love with God. And through that is how I started loving people more. Because I was somewhat introverted, Jackie. I would be around people and say, I don't want to be bothered with them.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah. My siblings would tell you, yes, I was very introverted. I would be like, a crowd of people come around, I'm out, I'm leaving, you know. But I developed a relationship with God, and through that was how I developed an even greater love for people. So now when I'm around people from all backgrounds, it could be all kind of races in one room, I start looking into the eyes of people and I just feel God's love in me to love them. And it is such an amazing experience, to the point where it literally brings tears to my eyes sometimes. You know, and then when I get like that, people look at me like, what's wrong? Is everything okay? And it's like, yes, God is real. And I had to share that because I just want to, say to you listeners, loving others and loving yourself is an open door to healing, because love produces healing. And so if you've gone through something in your life that was traumatic, if you was raised in a traumatic situation, or if you're just an adult and you're dealing with certain issues in your life, I encourage you to tap into love, tap into God, tap into loving yourself. And as you tap in to love, the opportunity for healing will present itself. And I only can say that because that's what happened to me, Jackie. That's what happened, And I mean, I'm no punk and I'm no get over by far, because sometimes people think, oh, well, she's nice and she loves people, I can get over her or over on her. No. I can love people and be me and still have a balance too, right? So, because we got to have a balance. We can't be a pushover, as they say. But man, Jackie, you just stirred up something in me when you said that every part of us is the DNA of God. That's what I got out of what you were saying. God put a piece of Himself in all of us. Yes. I mean, you could not have said it better. I mean, that was perfect. But
well, I got it from Eckhart Tolle, so
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome.
I didn't make it up, but
yeah.
He really is.
Yeah, that is awesome. So the 4 types of love is agape, which is unconditional, perfect, sacrificial, pure love. And then phileo is an emotional bond, deep friendship, sharing common interests or bond. And then storge is natural kin or family love. And then eros is sensual, romantic, which is normally in romantic relationships and marriages, of course. We know that. But this is a really good topic, Jackie. I mean, I read something on social media, and then I started thinking about my mom, and I said, you know what, we need to talk about this. Last week we were talking about self-love, right? And I think that this hour that we live in, I just think that people need to understand something about what they have inside of them versus the things that are going on outside of them. And I think that when we tap into love, like I said a minute ago, when you tap into love, you open the door to healing, because all of us got to be healed from different things. What you say, Jackie?
Oh goodness, yes.
Yeah. That's where human flaws come from, because sometimes people are not healed. They're not walking in healing, or they are not taking advantage of the opportunity to be healed. So it's very important to tap into love, people. It's very important. So we're going to wrap it up. And Jackie, you have anything else you want to share?
No, I think I revealed plenty.
Well, that was good, and I appreciate that. So remember, people, the 4 types of love. I'm going to say it again. Agape love is unconditional, perfect, sacrificial, pure love, which is the love of God. That's foundational love. We were created to love. And then phileo is emotional bond, deep friendship, sharing common interests, love, phileo. And then storge, which is natural kin or family love. And then eros, which is sensual, romantic, and it should be reserved for marriage, but we know everybody don't believe that, Jackie. Everybody different. Yeah. So just love, people. We want to leave you all with a message of, or a message and a reminder, I should say, to love yourself, love God, love yourself, so you can love somebody else. And make sure that you remember that when you tap into love, you will knock on the door or be presented with the opportunity to heal, because we all got to be healed from something. So on that note, we're going to wrap it up, and Jackie doesn't have anything else she wants to share. So I thank you, listeners, once again for taking the time to tune into SB Favor Thinking Podcast. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at sbfavor@yahoo.com via email. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SB Favor. I also have a YouTube channel, and I have a TikTok handle, and that's also SB Favor. Please leave me some feedback on YouTube. Click like, click the bell, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts. I'm on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Audible, you name it, I am there. Just find me on Google if you need to, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And listeners, I cannot forget to tell you this. You got to give to the podcast. If you'd like to give to the podcast, give at Cash App, $ SB Favors, SB Favor without the S, $ SB Favor on Cash App. Thank you so much for listening. And one more time, I want to acknowledge my mother. And like I said earlier, I dedicate this topic to her, because she is and was a woman of virtue. I miss you, Mom. I love you. And listeners, thank you again for tuning in. You have a good day. And thank you, Jackie, for your input.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, we will do another episode next week. And so, listeners, have a good day.